For those of you who don't know who Nick Tan is, you're going to want to watch this because he shows us exactly how he goes from $0 a month to over $80,000 cash collected using his AI consulting offer. Now, this is a call recording from our Automation Station Premium community. He was generous enough to come in, answer questions, interact with the community, and really just give us the keys to the kingdom. You're not going to want to miss this. He goes over the exact tactics he uses. He shows us his funnel. He shows us how he structures his offer, why he doesn't, and even his guarantees, and probably some other things that I'm missing here in this intro. But without further ado, let's just go hop in and check out Nick Tan. All right, cool. All right. Hey, thanks again for coming in. We were just chit-chatting a little bit, but for those of you who don't know, Nick Tan's got a YouTube channel. He runs an agency. The last few videos that really caught my attention from Nick is some of these $10,000 closes that he's been making. And I'm not one who's really impressed by like big ticket stuff. Money's not paramount to me. However, I do think it's important. It's an important skill to have, and client retention and churn is always a problem in the agency space, especially when you're running ads for folks. So I really liked Nick's style of pitching the product, getting people in, and not only locking them in for 3 or 4 months so that he gets paid, but what's important with running ads, it's actually important for the client. It's better for them to stay long enough so that they can see the results. Because a lot of times people quit too fast, and there's like this weird dilemma where you can't do it for crazy cheap because then it wouldn't be worth it. And then once you start charging high ticket, they get like really nervous on you, but really it takes time. And then there's like a trust factor where they're like, yeah, sure, it takes time because you just want me to stay and pay you for 4 months. But no, the reality is like I've spent money on Facebook ads for myself, and like you have to go through the cycles, you have to iterate, you have to feed that algorithm optimization. So there's a lot of things I like about it, but that caught my eye. And I'm also not a salesperson. So a lot of stuff, what I teach Nick inside my community, it's really just tech fundamentals. And I try to stay away from the sales because I don't really see myself as a sales guy, and that's a limiting mindset, but I'm a career military guy. And so sales isn't necessarily a military skill. There's some negotiation in the military, but not much sales. We're not really like a for-profit business here. So I'm really excited to have you in here. There's a few things I wrote down, a few bullet points. You can go ahead and do whatever you do, but I just wanted to highlight some things. One thing that I really liked that you pitch is, or not that pitch, but that you talk about is ads for prospecting. And the reason why that stuck out to me is because a lot of folks in my group are side hustlers. They have careers and they're out here and they're trying to grow their agency. And so there's like some of the more guerrilla tactics like DMing people and cold calling and cold texting. It's just not feasible for folks like that. And ads are a good way for people who have a little bit of money that can put some money out there, maybe have a good funnel to qualify folks and get people on appointments. So I like that. And I hope you talk about that a little bit. And then high ticket packages, I just talked about why I like that, especially just for just driving revenue and MRR in the business. And then simplicity of fulfillment in the niche. You like are targeting outdoor lighting companies right now from what I can see. And what's really cool is like you have an offer that Ava, your AI bot's not like the main event of the offer. It's just like in there and you don't really focus on it, but it's really like the powerhouse of the offer, and it's the same niche over and over again. So I'm like really interested to hear how you fulfill it. I bet it takes you minutes to fulfill, but yeah, those are some high level notes. And then for the group, I just ask mute your mic if you're not talking, but by all means, unmute or drop a question in the chat if you have any questions for Nick. And without further ado, Nick, the floor is yours.
Yeah, perfect. No, I appreciate the kind words, but yeah, I'll give a little bit of a background just to how this offer came along. So I've been in the agency space for about 8 years now. I did the whole kind of generic agency all the way to niching down and changing up offers and even running a white label agency, and then been in the info product space. Been all over, especially in the online space the last few years. And really, when I saw all this AI stuff and and pairing it up with lead gen and everything like that, I just saw a really good opportunity to pair what I was doing with my current agency. Prior to utilizing AI, I was just doing basically a pure lead gen agency for the past few years in the home service space specifically. So working with pretty much every niche in the home service space. And what I realized, especially in the last couple of years, is that if you only pitch lead gen, it's tough to stand out, right? You're pretty much like competing against every other agency out there. And when all these agencies have the same type of offer, you're pretty much at a race to the bottom. So we were just getting compared to every agency, no matter how good our client results were, no matter how much we tried to tell them our ads are different and all this stuff, our processes are different. They were like, I could hire someone for $500 a month, $1,000 a month. And if you're in the agency space, it's very hard to grow at that rate. And it becomes very expensive and your margins aren't low, or your margins are very low. It's tough to scale. When we saw the AI stuff, my business partner and I started experimenting with that and just selling AI only. Now that works to a certain degree, but the problem is that these businesses need good lead flow in order for the AI to actually be functional, right? If they don't have lead flow, there's nothing for the AI to set or save them time on or things like that. So we combined the two. And when we combined the two, found a really good niche and really honed in on one specific industry, created an offer and messaging around that. That's when it became really easy to sell these packages. So with the offer I'm doing now, it's targeting the outdoor lighting space, which is a sub niche of landscaping. So basically, outdoor lighting is they basically just put like lights on a house, whether that's on the roof or you can put lights in a backyard and make it look really nice and all that stuff. Surprisingly, it's very expensive, right? It could be anywhere from $5,000 to $50,000, depending on the home and things like that. So when we saw that, okay, we can generate the leads. We can now set them appointments. All they have to do is show up. And with some of the ROIs we're getting them, renewing them is very easy. So as we started to build that up, we started running paid ads to this offer. And then really from there, it's, yeah, exactly. You just bought those permanent lighting. So basically from there, once you've proven the offer, you can really just ramp it up with paid ads. So we started running paid ads. We put an offer around that and run very simple ads. And specifically in the last 3 months of running this ad campaign, we're anywhere between a 10 to 20x ROI on the front end. That's not counting any renewals or anything like that. So our biggest bottleneck right now, to be honest, is partly fulfillment because we've just onboarded a ton of clients. So we need to just make sure that's smooth before we onboard any more, and hiring closers to basically handle the amount of appointments that we have. But we were getting anywhere from $50 to $75 cost per appointment. And then on cash ROAS, we're typically at 10 to 11x. And then on revenue ROAS, anywhere between 18 to 20x. So it's a very scalable offer. All that to say that just gives context into like really identifying a niche that's not, I like to call them sleeper niches, but they're more like sub niches within a bigger niche. Honing in an offer around that, especially utilizing like the lead gen and AI side. And then really from there, it's running paid ads to acquire clients. And that's pretty much as simple as we've gotten the agency to be. But yeah, I'll open it up for any questions or things like that, or if anyone wants me to go into anything specific.
Nick, I like that, the sub niche. So like I did the same thing with decorative concrete curbing. It's a sub niche of landscaping. They have a high ticket product. But some of the challenges I found in that is, one, there's seasonality in that business. So I'm curious on how you deal with seasonality. If actually lighting's probably not seasonal because they do Christmas lighting, I'm sure as well. But also the challenges I had was that the niche was so small. Like it was probably 5,000 people nationwide. Targeting them via ads worked surprisingly, but I thought it was going to be difficult. It was a limiting like belief of mine. And then once I put the ads out there, I was getting like $70 appointments, which is wild, but I wasn't charging as much as you. So I'm curious to hear how you frame the offer.
Yeah. So in terms of just, the sub niches and like your total TAM, our total TAM is not very big. There's probably maybe 7 to 10,000 businesses, but that's including like roofing companies who are getting into it. Now, we've identified a really good niche and we got lucky with some of our initial clients that were big franchises and things like that. So we built a name for ourselves and now we're on like vendor lists of franchises. But the main thing we hear on calls all the time is, hey, you're the first agency that has like ever like just specifically worked for outdoor lighting companies. And when you hear that, it's pretty crazy because when we think of Facebook ads and lead gen, it's been around for a long time. But to these like business owners, they're like, Yeah, we've used generic agencies before, haven't gotten great results, but you guys seem to have figured out the secret sauce, right? So it's pretty interesting from that standpoint. And that helps you obviously charge a little bit more because you're like premium in that sense. But mostly it becomes around the overall core promise of what we're promising them. So our offer is $100,000 in booked revenue, basically in the 4-month term we're working together. Now, that has a stipulation, right? So they have to spend X amount of ad spend in order for us to guarantee that. Now, that's what we promote as our offer. And if someone wants to spend $10,000 in ad spend, we can for sure hit that, especially when average job sizes are anywhere from like, on average, right, $5,000 to $15,000. So it's not that much revenue when we look at it from a cost per job perspective. So that's basically what we do. Now, if let's say someone can only spend $1,500 per month, right? That's $6,000 per month over the 4 months, then we guarantee them $60,000. So what we're really guaranteeing is a 10x ROAS.
Oh, got it. Okay. So that 10K that you say is, hey, it's 10K for 100K in booked revenue, but that's over the 4 months, not 10K a month in ad spend. Or is it 10K a month in ad spend?
No, so it's 10K over the 4 months.
Okay,
Yeah.
gotcha.
So it's 2.5K. Yeah.
And then if they don't spend that much, then you just essentially apply a ratio and back down that guarantee to whatever it is they're spending, right?
Correct. So yeah, we're downselling and the offer basically.
Okay.
But that's the hook of what gets them in. Yeah,
Gotcha.
basically is what we're promoting on the ads.
Interesting. Hank here says, what's the minimum ad spend you recommend for clients whenever you bring them on, daily budgets wise?
50 a day is where our minimum will go down to as low as like $1,000 a month, which is like 33 per day, depending on the area. So if it's a less competitive area, not as big of a population, we don't really need as much ad spend.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's interesting. How many times have you had to actually fulfill that guarantee? Have you ever not met that with a client and had to?
We've never not met that. So it's been really good so far. That's why we're pretty confident in continuing to promote it.
Awesome. Chad's asking, is this a mix of Google and Meta, or is it just Meta ads?
This is only Meta ads. So that's like where like part of our offer is very productized and we're able to just launch ads really quick. It's only Facebook ads. We're using CloseBot for the AI. And then basically from there, we use GHL as the CRM. So any like bonuses like reactivation campaigns or even setting up the CRM for them is all pretty much productized.
Nice. Man, I want to ask you a question I always get asked, and like, I don't really always know how to answer this, but why CloseBot over GHL conversational AI?
Yeah, it works really well for what we need. So we don't need anything too complex or anything like that. So for us, it's just really easy to set up and it works really well. It's done really good for our clients. They see great results. Obviously, there's hiccups here and there, but yeah, for the most part, I think like it's bang for buck. Your margins are so high on that.
Gotcha. Yeah, I agree. It's simple. Let's see. New leads only, no DBR. I think DBR would be high ROI. You do database reactivation for your clients as well.
As a bonus, that's just part of like our offer. We don't only offer that.
Do you charge extra every time you run a campaign, or is that just hey, this is what you get in addition to?
No, we just do it as part of it. So we don't charge them anything else because we want them to get quick wins.
Gotcha. Can you speak about your database reactivation as well? I saw on a YouTube channel that you guys also reactivate your leads. And also your funnel is interesting, right? So when I was getting $70 booked appointments, I was running them straight from the Facebook ad, the B2B Facebook ad, to a booking page. It was such an ugly funnel, but it was working, right? You have them going to a Facebook instant form, and then you're booking them after that. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah.
Why are they filling out the form? What are they getting for filling out the form?
Yeah. So basically our ad is basically the offer, right? So we're basically just saying, hey, for outdoor lighting businesses, we generate X amount of revenue in X amount of time. And basically, if you want to secure and get your area exclusive to you, then basically opt in and watch the video on how it works. So it's just a VSL funnel. The reason why we do Facebook lead forms is so that way our setter can basically call all the leads. So we collect their info. A certain amount of people are going to auto book. They'll go straight into the VSL, book their own appointment or whatever. And then a ton of them who don't book, we basically call them and set their appointment that way as well. So basically that's why we do the Facebook lead form. Now, that's pretty much as simple as our funnel gets. We've done pushing them to a landing page, but Facebook lead form works really well for us, especially recently. Yeah.
Sure. I agree. A few questions in the chat. Do they pay for their ad spend? Pretty sure I know the answer to that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay, cool. So it's not included. I wouldn't recommend. Some folks will like sell a package and pay for ad spend. That can get messy really fast. I've seen folks who spend ad money on behalf of their clients, and if you forget to stop the ads or they stop paying you and you like ran up a tab of ad spend, that's on you and that's going to suck. So I wouldn't recommend you do that. How do you track ROAS, Meta lies? Do you use Hyros or anything other than Meta?
No. So for us, we're pretty old school. We just use GHL. So part of the stipulation of them getting and being able to basically get the guaranteed ROAS is that they have to update their numbers in GHL. Okay. So we just see their numbers in GHL. It's pretty simple. And for us, it's different. We're not doing online sales. These are local home service companies that are actually going out, doing an estimate, doing a bid, and closing the old school way.
So Sean has a related question, and there's some questions I skipped over, but I'm going to go back to it. But what if they use a different CRM? Is there a lot of friction there with having them update the GHL CRM?
No, we don't really have much friction. Actually, surprisingly, a lot of our clients come in already using Go High Level. If not, then basically we just have to have access to their CRM.
Gotcha.
So there's just got to be some level of transparency.
Got it. That makes sense. Rich said, no, you already answered Rich's. Jacob says, how are you handling A2P for your clients?
So yeah, that's been an up and down annoyance, that's for sure. Now, what we've done is, I'm not sure how much of this is cool or not, or compliant or whatever, but once we get one A2P account approved, we basically just approve 5 others using the same business info and things like that. And then we switch out the business info after.
Gotcha. Yeah, I've done that I have multiple businesses myself, and especially in the beginning, and it just changes, but I've had to do that as well. Have you used a2pwizard.com at all?
No, I haven't.
Check it out, man. It's free. From what I understand, somebody posted it in the Go High Level group. I've used it twice now. The last 2 clients, I was struggling to get it approved. I've never struggled to get A2P approved. And I used what they provided. The nice thing about it is you don't have to spin up a funnel. You don't need a snapshot. You don't need anything. You put the business's information in there, and it's going to like literally give you a copy and paste block of what you need to put inside of your A2P fields. And then it creates screenshots of a fictional website, and it's just easy. It's all done for you. So it's weird because you don't actually build a funnel. So you're like, how can they validate this? Essentially, the A2P guys are just looking at those screenshots and taking it as gospel, and it's worked twice and fast for me. So
that's called A2P Wizard?
A2pwizard.com. Yeah. Check it out. They also do a done for you service. That part's paid. So if you're struggling with fulfillment and maybe that's a bottleneck, maybe you look into that. If I don't know what their quality of service is, but just doing the submit the form, get the information back has worked for me twice now.
Perfect.
Samal asked, why not use an AI voice setter?
For our industry, they're low-key scared of AI. So we've heard a lot of people who are just like, maybe not scared, but uncomfortable. They're not like super excited about it. So that's why it's not even like the core piece of our offer. Now, they do the fact that it is AI, but they also don't really want their clients knowing that they're utilizing AI and stuff like that. Yeah, we just haven't wanted to use the voice setter. We've tested it as well, and it doesn't sound great, to be honest.
What about for you, for your business? Same reasons?
Same reasons, yeah. Especially like with the lighting space, it's very specific. You have to have some very specific knowledge to be able to talk to them and stuff like that. And also, it's the same thing, right? If they're uncomfortable with AI, I'm not going to have a AI call them and try to set them into an appointment.
Yeah, for sure. Now, what would you say your ratio is? It doesn't have to be a hard number, but your AI setter booking appointments versus your closebot booking appointments versus people just clicking on the link and booking the appointment. Is there like a ratio or a KPI that you keep?
For my own ads.
Yes, for the B2B ads.
Yeah, yeah. For my B2B ads, generally it's like a 70-30. 70% will auto book and like 30, we get an extra 30-ish% from our appointments that are calling the leads.
Really cool. That's good to know. Chad says, "What do you mean by update their numbers in GHL?" Chad, I think he means, and correct me if I'm wrong, Nick, but they need to keep track of, they need to be doing business in the CRM. So updating the pipeline, having
Yeah.
the client communications inside of the CRM in order to qualify for the guarantee. If they're taking the business from the lead notification and just doing it on pen and paper somewhere else, there's nowhere for Nick and his team to track if they're actually doing what they're supposed to do and contacting their leads.
Yeah, that's exactly it. That's right.
Awesome. Any issues? Hank says, any issues with them reporting sales? I think that kind of alludes to the same question. Everything's tracked in the high level CRM. Hank, if you meant something else by that, let me know. Samal says, I do that as well. Been using A2P Wizard too. Debbie says she's been using A2P Wizard and it's life changing. I agree. It's just crazy. No more snapshots or any of that. Hank says, what does the landing page look like after the form? Is it a simple Calendly? If they don't book from there, you give it to your setter. Do you use SMS to book the meeting? Yeah, yeah. Go ahead. So yeah, do you use SMS and then what's the landing page look like?
All right. I think it's just easier if I pull it up. But yeah, while I pull it up. What was the question? Do we book through SMS?
Yeah, do you book through SMS? Which, yeah, they do. They have CloseBot also book
Yeah.
their B2B stuff.
Majority of it is phone call though. So we do like to call a lot. So that's a big part of it as well.
Gotcha.
All right. So I will. So that's our thank you page. Let me just log into my GHL here.
Alfredo also asked, how do you come up with offers? I think that's a great question, man, because this is someplace that I struggle this way as well. I'm a tech guy, so I always want to say like lead generation, right? We run your Facebook ads, Facebook ad management. Somebody like you says, I guarantee you 100,000 in 4 months or else your money back or whatever it is. Like, how do you come up with offers? What's your process for that?
Yeah. So when it comes to offers, you really have to think about one, like what's their average job size? Like specifically in the home service space. That's where I've done most of my marketing and everything. So you really have to think about what they actually truly make from their revenue, right? You have to take in their margins and things like that, and then reverse engineer backwards based on like the ROAS and stuff like that. So for us, it was just testing. We were just testing different revenues and things like that. We were going to test appointments or stuff like that as well. So it just becomes a testing thing. Now, what I would say is like to validate your offer, you can do it organically, but you're really going to actually validate it from paid ads, because you'll know based on like opt-in rates, what people are saying and things like that. That's how you'll actually validate whether or not like the offer is hitting. And then obviously on the sales call, you'll get direct feedback and then it just becomes iterating from there. So it's not always as clean and cut as that, but generally like it's what they desire. So usually what most business owners are going to want is more revenue. So for us, we try to make everything around that.
Smart. Yeah. And I love that, man. You just got to do it sometimes, put it out there and see what the market says.
Yeah, it's all testing, right? If you test and it hits, then just do more of that. If not, you still get feedback either way.
For sure. I love that. I'm going to keep bombarding you with questions while you open that up. So Anthony says, do you rebill any fees to your clients, SMS, CloseBot, GHL fees, etc.? And do you use CloseBot version 2?
We just got onboarded to CloseBot V2 and we don't rebill.
Okay.
Yeah. Good. We just take the hit.
There you go. On CloseBot, yeah, that makes sense. I'm the same way. It's not worth me telling them to sign up to OpenAI and get their API.
Yeah, exactly. You guys can see my screen here?
Yep, we got it.
Yeah. So this is pretty much it. Super simple. So pretty much as soon as they hit the lead form, they submit their info. This is where they get pushed to. We use a slide deck. We've tested the VSL as a video form, but the slide deck has been working incredibly well for us. And then right below is just the Calendly where they can book, and then some client results, nothing too crazy. Most of our results are in here.
So easy.
But it's super easy. And as you can see, it's literally just promoting our offer. And that's about it.
You're not putting any pricing in there or anything. You're just talking about the
Nope.
offer.
No pricing, just talking about the offer. That's it.
Dude, that's so easy. God dang it. Okay. If most of your leads come from calling the leads in, is that the same for B2C and B2B? Do you drop the SMS early and go for the call? So as far as is your, I think I know what Hank's asking here. As far as your process here, the new lead comes in, are you SMSing first or are you calling first?
For the B2B side, we're generally calling first and then SMSing after. And now it's also dependent on if they've auto booked as well. So obviously if they've auto booked, then it just becomes confirming the call. For the B2C side for our clients, that's all SMS as soon as they come in. We're trying to set the appointment. Now it's either going to be for our clients, it's either an in-person consult that we're booking them, or a lot of the times for our clients, we're just booking them like a discovery call, if you will. So where it's just a quick 15-minute consult, they can qualify them a little bit more, depending on your niche and what they need. Like for our guys, because they're actually traveling to these appointments, they like to bulk, have these appointments in the same neighborhoods and stuff like that. So it's easier for us to push to a phone consult for them. And then they can take it from there and actually book the appointment.
Nice. That was going to be a question I had because, yeah, folks don't keep like clean calendars, but it doesn't matter if it's just a phone consult. That's pretty smart. Dude, I want to dive into a little bit so you've been running this offer. I'm not sure for how long you've been running this offer, but what's MRR look like? You don't have to give us an exact number, but what's MRR looking like for your agency? What do margins look like for you? And like, how long has it taken you to get to this point with this offer?
Yeah. So with this specific offer, we launched on March 12th. And the only thing we did was paid ads. We did no organic and things like that. We had a couple clients in this specific industry, which is how we knew about it through the clients we were working with prior to. But for this specific offer, we just closed out this month a little over 80 grand cash collected, with a lot more to collect in the coming months here, not including any renewals and things like that. Margins are very high because we don't spend very much on ads. I think we spent less than $5,000 last month on ads, something like that. And then our appointment setter is not very expensive. They're $1,000 a month. Plus they get a little bit of a commission on anything that they set that closes. But again, a lot of our leads are coming through auto books. So that saves us a ton of money there. And then my business partner does majority of the fulfillment for everyone. So we haven't really had to hire any media buyers or anything like that. So I'm keeping this offer very lean, very productized. So client acquisition is very productized. And then the fulfillment is very productized as well. So that way we can really just handle high volume. Now we're still working on some of those systems. So we're not pushing on ad spend too crazy yet, but we plan to be.
Do you think that this can be a agency because you're so niche down and the product is so clear cut? You think this is an agency that you and your business partner can exit? Is that kind of in your minds at all?
Yeah, absolutely. That's the only thing that's on our mind is everything is very intentional. So that way we can exit. So paid ads is one of the things we want to focus on and get dialed. But now we're going through more other marketing routes just to make sure that when we do go to exit, it's going to be something that's like super bulletproof that gets us a better valuation. So some of the things that we're doing are getting on vendor lists for like franchises, looking into live events. The other thing we're looking at right now is that there's a lot of suppliers, lighting suppliers in the space, right? So they're actually the ones who are selling the physical lights to the lighting business owners to actually install. So we've met with them now so that way we can have some partnerships with them because the more we ramp up whoever they're selling to, the more lights they're obviously going to sell. So we're trying to go up the chain a little bit more as well and honestly just take over this whole industry.
Super smart, man. The decorative concrete industry is very similar in the sense that like they have specialized machinery and some of those specialized machinery manufacturers have also spun off and made marketing companies, and they have a whole nother line of revenue. So I compete with them in a way, but some of them are willing to work together, and they're a great source because all of the business comes through them first and often, and then they come towards you. So
That's it.
that's good to hear, man. Who else do we have here? Let's see. I keep hearing Sean says I keep hearing sub niche. If you are wanting to branch out to additional sub niches, do you spin up a new company or keep each company specialized?
So when we were creating this brand, so my brand is called Outside Leads. It's meant to be specific enough but broad enough at the same time. So for us, we really like the home service space, so we're always going to be around that. Yeah, so for example, another industry I was thinking about was epoxy, right? It's like a sub niche of the house painting space. So epoxy is also very high average job size, very specialized, and most painting companies do that because it's huge margins for them. So if I was to do that, I could keep it under the same brand. But if I was to go into a completely different niche, then I would probably spin up a new brand, but it doesn't have to be crazy or anything like that because honestly, it's all in the offer.
Love it. Love it. Debbie says, if I understand correctly, you follow up with the leads using SMS, but also call without using voice AI. Does that mean you hire a VA? I think you did say, yeah, you do hire a VA, right?
Yeah, so we don't use a VA. We just use an appointment setter based in Canada as well.
Okay. He or she is local. You guys know who they are. And
Yeah, he worked on one of my last offers I scaled up. So we had
perfect.
a good in with him.
How do you compensate them?
So we pay him $1,000 per month base and then $500 per closed deal on what he sets.
What's he end up making pretty much since March? Only been since March 12th, which is crazy,
Uh,
but
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know the exact numbers, but it probably averages out to 5, 6K a month, something like that.
pretty sweet. That's so awesome. That's good incentive. Jay says everybody needs to productize more. I'm too busy fixing other stuff, but I know I need to streamline. Jay, dude, you're not alone. I'm sure Nick learned that over time.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
classic with Go High Level. Man, I went to a SaaSpreneur event about a year and a half ago, and like the theme I walked away from that with, the people who were crushing it ignored 99% of the features inside of Go High Level. They turned them off. They never mentioned them to their clients, and they just productized, simplified, because it's so distracting inside of Go High Level, and it's not going to make you any money.
I agree with that. I completely agree with that. Too
Anthony,
many things to, yeah, there's so many things that you
it's
could do.
crazy.
Yeah.
It's terrible. It's a nightmare. The support, like the folks who are out there offering like $17 sub accounts and stuff or whatever, I just don't understand like the support infrastructure for that's got to be terrible. I don't know. Anthony says, when do you think a good time to run ads for your agency is? And do you think it's a must to have very good experience in sales or have content on social media prior to doing ads for your business? I'm going to input a little bit here, and then Nick, I want you to answer as well. I think there's in real estate, and I'm sure just in business in general, but like I started all this flipping real estate, and there was always a like a trifecta. You had like money, experience, and time, and like you'll never have all three, but you might have a few of those. And so for me, running ads for my business, it's like the first thing I do because the leverage that it has, you pay $18 to get in front of 1,000 people. It's just nuts. And so I say do it often if you have the money to do it and do it early. And then as far as sales skills, I like the idea, like you mentioned earlier, like you just need to get it out there. And I think the same is true for sales. Like you just need to get on Zoom calls and screw it up like 1,000 times and get on there and stumble over your words and fail and get told no. And then eventually, like you really start to speak the lingo, you start to anticipate what they're going to ask you and all that stuff. And you just get better over time. For me, I say do it early, do it often if you can afford it. But I'll leave it to you, Nick. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I've gone back and forth on this question a lot because I got my start through just cold outreach and things like that. In my mastermind of agency owners, majority of them have grown their own brand and things like that, which has worked really well. I've seen guys go from like 0 to, 50K months just with a Facebook profile. Now that takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of effort and energy, and it doesn't allow you to test as fast. Whereas with this offer, I was able to launch it on, like basically 3 months ago and scale it up pretty quick. And now I have a pretty solid acquisition system. But I would say it really depends on like your goals. If your goal is to hit 10, 20K months, you can definitely do that with just do an outreach, right? And not overcomplicating things. But if you're really wanting to build a sustainable agency and kind of grow really quick, then I'd say paid ads is the way to go. And it allows you to test significantly faster as well, especially if you have no niche picked out, no brand right now. You don't really have a huge in a specific industry. That's just going to allow you to cut through the noise and really test offers and start to work quick. The other thing too is a good point. The other question about, do you need good content on social media before running ads? No, you absolutely don't. Not as an agency owner. Maybe if you're going after, if you're running an info product, maybe. But for us in the local home service space, we don't have a YouTube channel. We don't have an Instagram. We literally just have one funnel that we cooked up that we started running ads to. And your goal is just to basically make the offer really good. And when the offer resonates with them and everything else falls into place, it becomes really easy. I don't know if any of you have watched kind of the sales video I put up on YouTube, but if you watch that video, you'll see I don't follow a typical discovery process or trying to elicit pain or anything like that. It's really just a conversation. If you look at how we pitch, most sales trainers would say that's way too freaking long and way too much of the how and all this stuff. Yet it's working really well for us. So I just think if you have a good offer, and I know I keep coming back to the offer, but when you have a good offer, that's like the foundation. Everything else falls into place. It allows you to make mistakes. You don't need the perfect ad. You don't need the perfect funnel. You don't need a perfect sales process.
I'm laughing because I'm in the middle of putting together my self-liquidating offer course for the community, where I'm just going to go through and show how I put the SLO up for the GHL Voice AI course. And the first thing I talk about is the offer. And because my ads are so ugly, the landing page is so ugly, but the offer's great and the money's there to spend on ads and it just converts like crazy. I think that's true in a different space, but the offer is very important. Sorry, my wife decided to print something mid-call. Sean asked to use UpHex for ads.
No, we don't. I've heard of UpHex, but honestly, to this day, I still don't even know what it is.
Gotcha. Good. All right, cool. Any final questions? Because I want to give Nick some time to talk about what he's got going on his end, how we can work with him, how we can find him, and all that. But I'll leave it open for any final questions. Feel free to unmute if you have a question and you want to come up on the mic, or a few more seconds on the chat. Any questions? Offer number one, how long is fulfillment? Offers number one, how long is fulfillment? How long does it take you to fulfill a client as soon as they sign?
So from when they give us everything we need, it's not very long. CloseBot maybe takes 20, 30 minutes at most to set up, and then setting up their GHL. So maybe an hour and a half all in.
Nice.
Yeah, nothing crazy.
10K, an hour and a half. That's sweet. I'm assuming media is going to probably be the long portion of that. Do you have to hire a videographer or something?
So that's part of our offer is we can hire them a videographer to go in person to get more commercial filmed type of content. Most of them, we just script out ads. Again, it's all productized. So we have all the scripts ready to go that we just send them. We send them our winning ads that are working and things like that they can model off of as well. But most of the time, they just send us iPhone, filmed footage. The next thing we're playing around with is really just using AI for all of their ad creatives and seeing if we can, outperform what they're giving us. But part of what we really push is their personal brand, right? Obviously we're going to push your business brand, but we want to push the business owner, their story and things like that to differentiate them from their clients or their competition.
I like it. I'm going to share a link to Fiverr here. This is something that I've been using, and if your stuff's working, by all means do it, but maybe you guys give this a shot too. This guy and this offer he has on Fiverr, I pay this guy every time I fulfill a new ad client. What I do is I typically just get a bunch of media assets from my client. I say, hey, give it to me in a Google Drive. I share it with this guy and I say, hey, create me like a TikTok style reel for an ad for this person. We give him their logo, we give him a script, and in 24 hours, he returns 3 TikToks, TikTok style 9x16 reels, 3 different hooks for $60. And they work pretty well. And so that's the exact guy I use. I've been using him for over a year and a half now. Pretty cool little hack there. And it's relatively cheap. So for those of you who
Interesting.
want to try that out. Cool, man. Let me see. Do you hire actors for their ads? No, I don't think you do.
For their ads, no. We've actually hired actors for our ads.
Yeah.
Which has worked well.
You done that on Backstage or whatever?
Yeah, we've used Backstage. We've also tested out ARC ads with our ads as well.
Nice.
And it all performs pretty well, pretty equally.
Nice. Joey, earlier in the call, he mentioned the guarantee for the offer. There's a few stipulations, and their ad spend is a part of that, and then as well as them tracking and doing what they're supposed to do inside of the Go High Level CRM. But yeah, he covered that a little bit, and he's never had to fulfill it because he always fulfills on his promise. And it's essentially a 10x on their ad spend is what they're guaranteeing over 4 months, and he hasn't ever had to roll back and pay people back from that.
Like, if you guys are like worried about that, do a work for free guarantee. That still works fine. You don't always have to do a money back or anything like that. So ours is just a work for free guarantee. So we've never had to do that. We've also experimented with testing the 2 offers against each other, which is either a money back or just a work for free guarantee. It's pretty interesting because like most of the time, by the time they get on, they really don't care about the guarantee all that much.
That's interesting. Yeah.
It's like not the main driver of, and you'll hear it in the sales call I posted as well. It's not like, it honestly seemed like she forgot there is a guarantee.
Nice. Hey, Hank asked, what do the client ads look like? Hey, I'll tell you, go watch the sales call that he does on YouTube, on his YouTube. And then in there, he gives testimonials on different brands that he's worked with. And you can go to the Facebook ad library and pull up the brands that he's worked with and see some of those still have active ads that I'm assuming they're managing. And so the ads will be in there. I think it's just be a good exercise of you checking out and researching competitors or a new niche or whatever on the Facebook ad library. They're on there. Hey man, I appreciate it. I appreciate your time. I think I really love like how generous you are with your stuff. And I was nervous. You're the first person I've had. Is it the first person? No, we had a Case Wagner come in and talk to us once, but it wasn't sales stuff. So I was nervous, but I knew just judging by what you put out on the Closebot group and what I see you do on YouTube, the kind of style of teaching, the kind of style of sales you have. So I really appreciate you coming in here and not holding back. I think that's very important for me and very important for folks in the group. Anything that like, how do people work with you? I'm actually curious, like, how do I work with you if I want to grow my agency? Do you have, you mentioned Skool a little bit earlier, and then you also mentioned a mastermind of some sort. Can you talk to us about that?
Yeah, so I have a Skool group. So basically the Skool group is like a beginner level of kind of the stuff we went through. It's more if you're just getting started, don't really know about AI and things like that. So we have that you guys can join as well. I have a 7-day free trial if anyone wants to basically, it's called the AI Agency Accelerator.
AI Agency. I'll put the link in the description.
Perfect. And then the other way is, my mastermind. So that's where I'm working with agency owners one-to-one. Obviously, I can't take a high volume of that, but with some of my additional time, I work with some agency owners right now where I basically install some of these systems that we've talked about, help build the offer, test the offer, iterate the offer, and then look at what client acquisition systems make the most sense for you, and then really helping streamline the fulfillment piece. And then really the end goal of that is to scale an agency anywhere from 30 to 50K per month over the next 6 to 12 months.
Awesome. And how do people find out more about that? Do they book a call with you, your team? How does that work?
Yep. So basically the easiest way is to DM me on Instagram. I'm always on my Instagram, so you can have a conversation with me there. And basically we can hop on a call and chat, see if it's a good fit, if it's something that you guys feel it makes sense. So I'll drop my Instagram.
I beat you to it.
Nice. You're quick, dude.
107K followers. I should have asked you how to grow my Instagram. That's pretty cool. Awesome. Hey, dude, I appreciate it. I value your time. We all value our time here in this group. I
You
think
guys.
everybody here is pretty busy learning, pretty busy running businesses, pretty busy having a family, stuff we value. I really appreciate your time, man. Thanks, and I think folks appreciate this. I'm going to post this one on YouTube. I'm also going to release this one in the free group because I think folks just need to hear it. And again, I just love your generosity. Last question I'm going to ask you here, though, because so many people don't do this, but what makes you so confident to just put this stuff out there like that? Like, why do you make content the way you do? You share your sales calls, you share your systems, you just shared your funnel. Like, where does that come from? Why do you do that?
Yeah, because a couple of reasons. I remember the hustle and bustle of where I was at when I was starting out an agency. And I would say it was even easier back then to start. And now it's just like really hard with how much competition and stuff is out there. So I feel like it's just a good thing to do to share. And it's also just really tough to copy me, right? I can tell you my niche, I can show you everything, but it's pretty hard to get a funnel going and all the testing and tweaking that I've done and all that stuff. And even getting like the case studies I have with outdoor lighting companies. So I'm not really scared of people copying me and things like that. And the other thing too is I just think there's so much information out there that it's hard to digest. Whereas if I can help someone go from 0 to 5 and help get their ads launched, get their offer dialed and things like that, then when they come to work with me, I can take them from 5 to 10 and really help them scale up. It's a lot of implementation. That's why I'm not too scared to put it all out there.
That's next level right there. 0 to 5, you can get to 5 to 10, and they already trust you and they want to work with you. I think that's huge. And YouTube is a great way to do that. And so I encourage everybody in the group to make YouTube content.
Yeah,
It's awesome. Awesome. All right, man. I appreciate you. And hopefully you have a good evening. Thanks for coming, man. And we'll keep in
of
touch.
course. Hopefully it was beneficial for you all and appreciate you having me.
Absolutely. And for those, these links will go away after I end the call, but I'll make sure to include them in the Skool post to his Skool community, his Instagram, and I'll do the same in the YouTube description. See you guys later.
Awesome. Peace out, guys.
Peace, man.
The